We are live. I'm gonna let Bernadette finish up. How's
Yes.
how's our room
Lynn,
looking?
your turn.
Are we packed? Are we full of friends? Oh, we went eerily quiet. Oh no. Y'all still there?
All right, and we should be rating on over, supposedly.
Oh, Fanny. Fanny. Fanny, don't leave me.
There we go.
Okay, I can hear again. Hello.
Okay, we're back.
We're back. We're good.
Awesome. All
We're
right.
good to go.
Hello, San Francisco. Wish I was there. Things came up. I'm still at home in Reno. I'll talk about who I am first. Hi, I'm Sketch the Witch. I'm a long-term member of the design team at BABScon. I think I've been a brony more years than I have not been. I'm a VTuber. You can find me at Sketch the Witch on most social medias, and my pronouns are he, they. I'm super into designing OCs. It was what I spent the majority of my time in the fandom doing. So I feel like that makes me qualified to tell other people how to do it. So we're gonna just start with over designing and under designing. These are some really big hurdles. So we want to avoid things like using the entire rainbow all over your character. It is going to make it harder to read, and for people with vision issues, you might be creating a situation in where somebody literally cannot look at your character. Complicated patterns. Please remember that likely someone is going to have to draw this character in the future. Limit your stripes, man. I have drawn so many zebras that are covered head to toe in stripes, but you don't see that in nature. It's most of the time you can put down just a few to get the idea across, and then you're not killing some poor artist's hand. Pony Creator is your friend. It is a great way to start. However, there's a lot of accessories. You do not need all of them. At the end of the day, you are just alluding to small things. But you can also underdesign. If you keep a really limited color palette, really boring, it might not be as appealing to look at. You should have some standout features. On my horse, I have freckles, and my horse has a cat tail. And like I see recolors a lot in OCs. I've seen a couple like this is my OC and it's Rainbow Dash with a paint job, and I'm like, man, that is. I'm never going to remember who you are. Really exciting. I love talking about color theory. So here's some very useful terminology. Hue is the color that something is. So for my example, I went from red to yellow. So that's changing the actual color that something is. Saturation is how bright a color is. I like sticking closer like here at the lower end of the middle, but even the upper end of the middle is good. But avoid up here and over here except for small details, because down here you get really hard to see and you can lose your color completely. And up here, again, some people with vision issues, your character might be too bright for some people to physically be able to look at. And then value. This is not my favorite value chart, but it's basically how light or dark something is. For values, up here are your pastels, and then like down here would be like your jewel tones, your darker tones. For color palettes, monochrome can be really fun. That's why my persona, for the most part, is monochrome. Using hints of complementary colors, which are your opposites, can really make your monochrome pop. Purple and yellow are great together. So are red and um, this one uses green. Color wheels are not perfect because the way that we view color is somewhat skewed. And then, fun fact, red is not a primary color. Blue is not a primary color. It's cyan and magenta. But because we base our physical color wheels that we use, especially in education, off of um, red and blue, it throws everything off. So yeah, see this like yellow green is very close to this like purpley red. And these three colors are really pretty together. I would totally design an OC based off just these colors. Analogous colors are colors that are buddies. They are going to be touching on the color wheel. They will almost always look really good together. Some other ways to make schemes are split complementary, where you pick two analogous colors. See how we skip this one in the middle, and then one complementary, one opposite. Triadic, which are colors that are all equally far apart on the color wheel, and then tetradic. So we have two different sets of analogous colors that are also opposites. So Applejack is a great example of, I would say, tetradic, no, not two, split complementary, because it's that yellow and orange, which are pretty close next to each other, but we also have green in there, which is going to be apart. And then for rarity, we have lots of the same tones, lots of blues and purples, so we're pretty analogous, with some white to help break it up so that we're leaning into what looks like a broader color palette instead of a monochrome, even though she appears to be pretty solidly in one area. Rainbow colors are where we might get ourselves into a little bit of trouble, because I love using rainbows. Super fun. The issue is trying to apply them in a way that is not overwhelming. Rainbow Dash is great because we have this nice soft blue body that is that helps keep the focus on the entire character instead of us being drawn all over trying to connect with all the rainbow colors. The only issue I have is that the outline and the blue streak, even in the show, and not just like ping art, match, and it throws my eyes off personally, but that's not the same for everybody. I really like the magenta eyes because it brings out everything else. In your Ponysona, if you want to go with rainbow, feel free to. However, I would avoid using it on the body. Like, if you want to have like rainbow legs, that might get distracting unless it's like very clearly an accessory. Saturated rainbows, if you want to do a neon rainbow, has to be very small detail, or you can end up losing your character, all that other effort that you're putting in just the colors. If it's not saturated enough, then it is hard to tell what color you are overall. You might end up looking. I've seen a few rainbow ponies that are like albino rainbow, and it's hard to tell that it's anything but white. It is important to keep in mind that your eyes have to rest somewhere. If we're bouncing all over the place, trying to look at every color that we're using, it is going to feel very strenuous on our eyes, and the character will not feel comfortable to look at, in most cases. Picking a species is a really fun way to bring your personality into it. If you're someone who's maybe more withdrawn, you are a more introverted person, maybe have a bit of a temper, you might want to pick like a dragon or a griffin to reflect that. This isn't a have to, but I feel like a lot of our friends forget that there are more than just the 3 canon pony species to pick from. I do see a lot of changelings, of course, but um, I'd love to see more griffin sonas. I feel like nobody picks griffins or hippogriffs. And these are just canon. And then from there, we can even dive into our non canon. I think seeing a hippocampus Ponysona would be so interesting. Um, I want to see some Canadian walk up and be like, "This is my OC," and whip out a moose. I think a pastel colored moose would be my favorite thing. I do have a Perryton OC, which is more uncommon. Those are they're winged deer. They're like a Pegasus, but instead of a horse, it's a deer. And that one was really fun to design because I felt it fits in the universe so well without being canon. So I get to make up all these fun traits. For the most part, when picking non-canon species, I try to stick to ungulates, which are a specific type of hooved mammal, just to kind of keep it in the realm of like similar to a horse. Alicorns. So for the most part, an alicorn Ponysona, go for it. Honestly, there's at the end of the day, there's no reason not to. If it is just how you are representing yourself. If you are creating a character for, say, a story or comic or something along those lines, I might not pick this character just because it would be really hard to fit them into canon. Um, Even if you're not going canon, there'd be a lot of interesting steps to take around to make the character make sense in universe. Patterns are super fun. So, I go back. My goodness, I'm only a little stupid, I promise. Designing with patterns is very exciting. I'm gonna go back to stripes and then talk about what's on the screen. Zebra stripes do not have to be they don't have to mirror exactly what you see in person, because like humans in any cartoon series, you simplify down to the what is going to, at almost the very least, allude to what you are looking at. The ponies in the show don't look like ponies. You don't need to do your patterns exactly like you would in person. Your patterns should be maybe not easily replicatable, but um just about easy to replicate, so that you can have your OC drawn over and over and over again and still know what you are working with. So this is right here. I cannot remember. Dottie Dice. This is Dottie Dice, and pardon me for the word I'm about to use, but she is based off of the gypsy horse, which is what the breed of horse is called. So instead of doing all of these marks all over the body, I picked a few central locations that would be easy to mirror in the future. So just on the hooves, on the butt, on the chest, the cheek, and the ear. And that way there, if I were to be commissioned to draw this character again, it would still look like the same character. And then if, say, they had a friend who also wanted to be based off of the same breed, you could distinguish with the difference between the two. If you have, if your patterning is too complicated or even too basic, you might not be able to do anything else with that patterning again, since both characters would look too identical for it to be like special to you anymore. Up here, this is some art that I did when I was younger. The patterning is really fun. The swirl pattern on the tummy is very fun. You could actually replicate. I originally had this in here as a bad example, but I think this actually could be. You could work with this to continue to simplify it and use it again. You'd probably want to fill in the hair, but the patches have simple patterns where it's like polka dots up here, stripes down here, and then solid and solid. And then the single swirl on the body might be difficult to draw in different angles, but definitely not impossible. Cutie Marks. This is a really fun page. So the fun thing about Cutie Marks is that they are basically, when you're designing for your Ponysona, it's just like your own personal logo. So I take reference from like business logos, especially with simpler patterns. I really like this butterfly. It's fun and interesting, but not too busy. Girl Scout patches or Boy Scout patches, because they have to be done on such a small scale, since they're only about like the size of a quarter, they do have to be simplified enough to be able to be read and then be sewn. So it's a really good place to start for some ideas. There's also like a few cutie mark generators online where they generate what the idea of your cutie mark is. If you're not an artist, my best advice is to trust your artist. If they're telling you that something sounds like it's going to be a bit too busy, it might be. I have a character down here. Her name is Strikefire. So I took a literal interpretation of her name. So it's a thunderbolt striking and making fire. For sonas, I feel like a lot of times people choose to make their cutie mark something maybe unrelated to what their real life, like, quote, special talent would be. I see a lot of people with like paw prints because they like animals. And as awesome as it is to like animals, a lot of people do. And if that is not what you're interested in as like maybe your career or your hobby, might not be the best idea. That is not what is you as a person. So I really struggle with this personally. I don't know. I struggle to find my footing with what exactly I want to do and what I'm good at and what I'm passionate about. So I made the choice to create my own pony species. So my Sona sketch is called a witch, and I made it so that in the canon of my own universe, witches do not get cutie marks, so I just didn't have to worry about it. For a while it was a pencil, but I just felt like that was maybe not something that would stick with me forever. So yeah, not choosing a cutie mark is always an option. So over and under designing, there's this old designer named Coco Chanel. And her advice was take 2 accessories off before you leave the house. And a lot of people live by this. However, Coco Chanel was a Nazi, and I don't trust that information from a Nazi. Nobody talks about that. Like, she married a Nazi during World War II. But anyways, so if you're worried about over designing, you should just ask yourself, what does it add to the character? If you just want to put bracelets on your character because they look nice, if your character is maybe fashion focused, awesome. If not, do they mean something to you personally? If it just looks right, go ahead. honestly, you can, for the most part, just trust your gut. If you're worried about underdesigning, do you feel like you've properly represented who you are as a person? Which is a really big question. But it's an important one to ask. You should feel like you have shown, you're showing not just yourself, but others who are looking at your character that, you know, this is who I am. One of my favorite accessories that I've drawn is our lovely con head. I got to design her Ponysona. She's a Kieran, and she has these adorable twig glasses, which show not just a nature-focused connection, but they also make her a little bit nerdy. And Jessica is a huge nerd, and you can tell her I said that if you see her. So I see a lot of people worrying about what if I'm cringe, and this is definitely something that I focused a lot on when I was first trying to settle on a design for my character. The answer is you might be. You might pick things to design yourself that other people think are cringy. You might have a, you know, black and hot pink scene pony with rainbow bracelets and they're an alicorn. And if that is what makes you feel represented, you go for it. There's no point in holding back for the sake of others. Everything here is just to help you find that path if there is something about maybe designing a character or you have a character and it doesn't feel right. These are just ways to make sure that your character looks good to you, because that's what is important at the end of the day. All right, so I finished really fast. I feel like I was a little nervous. So I would love to open the floor to questions.
Oh, just speak up. Oh, okay. So I have a question about designing hairstyles. I feel like that was the most difficult part in designing my OC.
Oh, I still struggle with that.
I know.
On my TikTok, I do OC redesigns, and I am totally running into the issue of all my characters look like they have the same hair.
Oh my god.
So
Ever heard of the term of pouring paint on the wall and see what sticks?
that's
Experiment.
exactly where I was going
Yeah,
with
like,
that.
I have like different hairstyles I could do. It's just so difficult sometimes.
Are you an
I
artist?
feel like it's so boring.
Maybe.
No, not me.
Okay, so if you're not an artist, you could totally just go through Pony Creator and click through all of the hairstyles.
Or Ponytown.
Or Ponytown.
yeah,
Honestly, Ponytown, I I hate to say it. I would rather see a Ponytown OC reference any day than a Pony Creator. Just because Pony Creator's been around for so long, I think it looks kind of janky now. But Ponytown is great because you can play with the front and the back, and those different combinations can definitely help figure out what feels right to you. I would say some general
And
things.
changing color is so easy.
Like if you have curly hair, going with a lot of curls and like poofs would is generally what I do for myself. But even if you're not an artist, you could find like a base and just draw something that you might want to see and then ask your artist to like translate it for you, and that might be a good way to find your perfect hairstyle. Does that help?
Did anyone else have any questions? Yeah, I think it really does help. I'd love
Awesome.
to do that when I get back.
Yeah, and if anybody
Thank
needs an
you.
artist, hey, I'm always up for grabs.
Oh, what is like? Do you use Instagram? What's your Instagram?
I use Twitter. My Instagram is full of my real life face, so I don't give that out. But my Twitter is @SketchTheWitch.
Okay, thank you.
Of course. Yeah.
Does anyone else have any questions? No. No. No.
I mean, do you have examples of your own OCs?
Yeah,
Yeah,
actually,
we'll
that's
see
what I was going to do
example.
right now. So I'm just going to turn off my display capture because it's just kind of capturing everything right now, and I don't feel like showing you my entire personal life, just out of personal preference, you know. Oh my God, go away. So let me just pull up like Clip Studio so I can. I'm just gonna keep quietly mumbling as everything loads. Don't mind me. How's the con going? What's the weather like in San Francisco? Make me feel like I'm there.
It's cold. Compared to
Oh, it's
Florida.
cold here too. It snowed for like an hour on Monday and then nothing else.
It's nice and sunny in the afternoon. It's kind of cloudy in the morning, but it's very warm.
It's rainy, but only when you're not outside somehow.
I'm so sorry this is taking a minute. A lot of my OCs I've been drawing on my iPad, so
I have a question though.
oh, of course. Go ahead.
What do you recommend those who want to draw like OC ponies
Like if you're like just starting
for the
to,
website?
definitely just visually break down your I would start with canon ponies if that's what you're going for, before trying to develop your own style, because that's where a lot of people get tripped up. That's where I got tripped up when drawing people. That's why I still don't draw people very often, is because if you focus too much on creating your own style, you miss out on learning the basics. And then practice, practice, practice. That is
As one of
really
my
the number
teachers
one.
had to say, you have to learn the rules in order to break them.
Yes. Okay, we're just gonna turn display capture back. Oh, that one was up there. I'm so sorry, I didn't know that that actually loaded up. So this is not necessarily an OC, but she is a redesign of an older generation pony. So this is Aloha Pearl. So for me personally, when I start to get really stumped on manes, I just make them really long. So she has this really long poofy mane. Accessories, we have like a simple pearl necklace and then a shark tooth, because that shows that she's on the beach. It matches the vibes, but it's not too much. For unique body markings, I added some freckles, shoulders, rump, face, and simplifying the cutie mark was really hard, because especially older generation cutie marks love to go a little overboard. So I just went with, I don't know what this flower is called, but it's like the flower that everyone puts on Pacific Islander characters. And then I have, this is not my character, but it's one of my friends that I have worked on. So what I really like to do is work with people on how to maybe not fix their O's. It's a little bit fixing, so that I keep the spirit of what they want while making it more artistically enhanced. So they wanted the character to look like a jack-o'-lantern, so we went with, but like a little bit darker, so we went with the nice dark body and then a lighter orange, this nice bright orange to brighten up the character, and then some green eyes, and then keep the color palette very simple, reuse the colors of the body and the cutie mark. Special talent is speech and debate, so it's a podium, which I think is very fitting. Just gonna This is one of my favorite characters. Her name is Dawn. Updos is another really good way to experiment with mains. So this one she has a lot of markings on her, which I really appreciate. And I gave her again a nice dark body to make those bright orange pop. I reused the colors of the mane in her eyes to keep that color palette limited. When your dark takes up a lot of space like this, you want to avoid using more dark in your character. That's why I tried to stick with that contrast of dark body, bright hair, bright eyes. And then this is a draft of sketch, because I'm actually currently redesigning them, funny enough. So, would you load, please? So I don't love this, and that happens sometimes. I'm experimenting with bringing in the orange with the yellow eyes, because for a while Sketch had these very bright indigo eyes, but I feel like it skewed the color palette just a little, and then we're playing with different hairstyles. But I think I am going back to, I had this really nice like swirl that wrapped around in front of the horn. Why don't I just go to my Twitter? We've taken a field trip all across the internet today. Oh, hey, I heard some laughs. Nice! My internet's mad because not only am I streaming in a call, but I'm also streaming to Twitch and also using the internet. And so it's like, cool, well, I'm going to do the things, but we're not going to be punctual about it. Oh my god, wait. That, I didn't realize how many followers I got. Please ignore. There we go. This is my OC Lovestruck. She's a weird case because she is the child of two of my other OCs. So instead of creating a color palette from scratch, I'm pulling from those ones because I like to focus on genetics. So this one I kept pretty monochromatic with a pop of, well, not monochromatic, but pretty analogous with a pop of blue. So it's not exactly an opposite, but it says draw your attention to her face. When you start getting into drawing your own characters, you can start playing with things like shapes. So I use a lot of contrasting shapes in this character. She has this really bubbly, fun, curly mane, but this very sharp cutie mark with a lot of like really crisp edges, because she is very flirtatious, very fun, but she's also gunning to be captain of the peacekeepers in her universe. So she has this like duality going on that you can see within her design. Where are all my horses? I was doing a lot of branding for a while, okay? A lot of my advice does. Oh, here we go. I do honestly like this rendition of Sketch a little bit more. I think I tried to change too much too fast. I'm still very attached to this design, and it's not perfect, but I think this is important to show that you're not always going to follow all of the rules. And then this is my lovely partner, who I created a pony for them before we were even dating because I was a little obsessed. So I was told blues and purples, and I said okay, and I went with that. I brought in a little bit of pink to widen the color palette a little bit because they're very fun and sometimes a little all over the place. So I feel like keeping it to just blue and purple kept it too cool. I did use a very cool pink, but it did warm it up a little bit. So your warm colors are going to be your reds, oranges, yellows, and then like your yellow greens. And then you get cool with your blue greens, blue, purple. This is another G2 redesign. Guess who it is? It's everyone's favorite, not G2, oh my god, G3. Everyone's favorite G3 horse. It's Minty. She was really hard to redesign, mostly because of the Cutie Mark. Trying to zoom in and it won't let me. But because her Cutie Mark in G3 was so complicated, there was kind of a lot going on with the patterning in the mints. I wanted to break that down a little, so we went with just a red and a green swirl, and then an alternating red and green swirl, so that it looks like it has that same amount of detail as the original, but a little bit easier to replicate. I usually don't go for heterochromia, but I really could not decide between the pink and the green on this one. And I just feel like that uniqueness, that pop, really works for her because of the way that her character is written. So these three characters are a little interesting in the way that I designed them. They are ancient unicorns that eventually their bloodlines are what turned into, in my universe, what are called witches. So being ancient, I was like, maybe there's less pastel happening, so we're going to keep these gray, darker bodies. And I went with some more realistic patterning, sort of. This one in the middle is based off of a blackbird, so that's why there's orange around the mouth to look like a beak and on the feet to look like bird feet. You can't see very well, but my snake over here has a realistic snake pattern. And then we added some extra details like extra fluff. The manes were really hard because I gave them such unique cuts. This one is basically just a bob, but with this one it's all sorts of defying gravity. Could not do without a ton of hair gel. But she's this very fiery, welcoming pony, so I felt like it just brought in the same energy as Pinkie Pie without looking like a Pinkie Pie twin. And then for her, they're sisters, so I just wanted to go in between a curl and a fluff because she's got more fluff. So not all my designs have good reasons other than I wanted to, and that's fine. I feel like doing this is like making me acknowledge a lot of that. I just kind of do whatever I want a lot of the time. Golden Delicious, who I believe is G3, so I usually work G3. Yellow and pink, very warm colors, very welcoming colors. She kind of is butter colored, which I think is cute because she's a baker. Face markings, I really like hers. She has this lovely mark on her tummy. You got her butt, the heart on her cheek, and then the chin and the nose. Just always very detectable places on the face so that you have a set idea of like when you're going to draw again of where those designs are. some older art. This is a Franken pony I made when I was, I think I want to say freshman year of high school. This character was kind of a big moment for me because it was when I was really trying to do character design while also trying to do like a mismatched character. So at first she was all sorts of colors. I think I had a different color for every body part, but I realized that that is going to look really busy and you are not going to know where to focus. So I sat down and I narrowed down my color palette. It's not perfect, but I feel like the oddity of it brings in that Frankenstein element. If there was one thing that I would change, I think it would honestly be just the eye color. She has it's really hard to see, but she has red eyes, and I just don't think that that fits nearly as well as doing something more within these color ranges. So I like pulling inspiration from other animals, even if they're a horse. So she's based off of like a grass snake. So she's just got this nice pattern on the bottom. Braids are super fun to do. You can do braids in a variety of ways, whether it's just one braid within a bigger mass of hair, or a braid in the front, or a braid in the back. Braid going from here to here. I have a couple characters like that. There's a lot of old art on here because I did a thing where it said where if you dropped your VTubing ping, I assigned you a horse. Oops, sorry. This one so I wanted to create a bee-themed character, but I didn't want to go black and yellow because black is a really hard color to work with when you're working with pastel-colored characters. So I instead went with this deep brown that made this character look so much more warm and welcoming, and he's just a big old squish ball. I think that might be it on my horses from my Twitter for a bit.
Do you have any advice for character's backstory?
Ooh, backstory is really fun. So if you're going Ponysona, you can kind of use your own life to mirror it. I've done that where, so Sketch's story, I'll just start here, is that they're a witch and they don't really have a solid, well, a little background on witches. Witches typically have one magical focus. They're really good in one area of magic alone. Like if you're an ice witch, you have like the best ice powers in the area, in the realm. But like other than that, you can like levitate things, and that's it. So Sketch is a witch and does not have a magic focus as far as they know. They're really good at writing, they're really good at drawing. What they don't know is that they have creation magic and that the stories and characters that they write and draw come to life in their own separate universe. It's a super lame power. Like, it's very powerful, but it's really lame because they'll never know. So that's how I created my own, because I was like, wouldn't it be funny if I keep writing about all these characters and like I am just inventing a universe for them and torturing them all and making them all suffer, and I'd never know. Or you can just do the, so-and-so moved into town, they made a lot of friends, this is their best friend. They hang out with the main six occasionally, even though they're like not besties, they just kind of coexist happily. If you're working with OCs, I think it would be really fun for you to explore the universe that you're putting them in. A lot of my characters have very long, in-depth, painful backstories because I have a very dark universe that I put them all in, and I work very hard to make sure that everything in their life matches up with what is happening in universe. That's about as specific as I can really get with advice with backstories. It's just a really broad question that I don't know if I can quite get into in the 15 minutes we have left.
Do you have any advice on OC names and creating names for Ponysonas?
Why don't I have my slideshow from last time where I did have a whole page about names. So this is from 2018. So names can be based on appearance, talent, or personality. If you have a very freckly horse, I think Speckles is a cute name. I have a freckly horse named Sommersprossen, which is German for freckles. Using words in other languages is very fun. I have another horse named Solflora, which is Latin for sunflower. Puns, common phrases, and alliteration are also super fun. Hectic hum. My friend has a character named Heartfelt, and she makes felt creations, and is also a very affectionate character, likes to make everybody happy. Well Wishes, who makes enchanted wishing wells. Lady Luck, who is just incredibly lucky. Sometimes I use just plain words. I have a character named Smoke, Cascade, Gypsum Shine, Sky. This right here is Hoodoo. She's an owl witch. I tend to avoid human names because I just feel like they don't fit in universe very well, though this is up to you, especially if it's a Ponysona. If you want to just name it, Jennifer, if your name's Jennifer, go for it. I'm not going to force you to pick a new name. I do have an OC with a human name. Her name is Pepper, but that's because she's a black griffin, and so she's the color of pepper. Names are really fun. It can really just be whatever you want. I personally go for alliteration. I would say most of my characters are some form of alliteration. And that's saying a lot since I have, last time I counted, about 120 OCs. Those are just the ones with backstories. So this is Serendipity. Her cutie mark is a 4-leaf clover. She lost an arm, so her name's kind of funny because a serendipity is a happy accident. But she's so happy, and what I really like what I did here is I did both lighter and darker markings. When you're doing markings, I typically try to keep them within the same color family, maybe adjusting lighter or darker on top of saturation. If you're working with a color square, if you're an artist, I move diagonally, if you can visualize that, because I don't, well, wait, I can do this. So down here is my color square. I'm so sorry, that's so hard to see. But I tend to move diagonally when I'm adjusting my colors, just because when you move just up and down, it's not as easy to see as if you move, so if you change your value and your saturation. This is my VTuber friend that I turned into an OC. I think this is a really fun idea for a Ponysona. If you have OCs and other fandoms, just to turn them into a horse. Her VTubing logo, or what was, she rebranded, is her Cutie Mark. Special feature, I gave her big ol' ears because she was a jackalope, so they look like bunny ears. I think they look like donkey ears too, which I thought was hilarious because I love donkeys. I love donkey and mule sonas. My favorite are like mulicorns. Just because quirky. Well, here's a couple of OCs in here because background. This is one of my personal OCs. I kept him very monochromatic, very cool colored. Because he's kind of a bad guy, with this like pop of green that draws this attention to his thorny crown, because again, he's a bad guy. But these like very piercing blue, icy blue eyes that remind me of Telltale Heart, because he's kind of creepy. And then here's his wife in contrast, where she's like pink with a light purple mane and these orange eyes, very warm, very welcoming, very sweet. So that's a way that you can make your OCs work together. I think it's really cute. I someday would love if a couple would commission me to design their ponysonas so that they look good together, and then they can have like matching ponysonas. I think that would be just the cutest thing. I would discount it. If anyone out there is listening, I would discount it. Yeah, I think that is about all the. Oh, ooh. I just sold this character. Not just. I sold her a while ago. She was so cute. Her name is Redline Revision. She is an editor at a newspaper place. I forget the word. Curly mane because she's bubbly and fun. The light, so they're not really freckles at that point. They're sunspots. To draw attention to her very expressive face. I gave her rounder eyes because she's a very childlike character, and rounder eyes help allude to innocence. And then I put the red in her eyes because it didn't really look good on her body or in her mane. And I wanted that to be part of her cutie mark. So that is a way that you can, instead of drawing colors to make your cutie mark, you can draw from your cutie mark if you know exactly what you want and put it into your character. I'm talking a lot with my hands for somebody who does not have hand rigging. So here's a character I didn't design, but he is a very good boy. Can we get a round of applause for trans icon Silverspan? Yeah! This one was designed by Choco Pony. I love his character design. I feel like the blue, instead of going for an actual silver, was such a great choice. He's simply just a little lad. I don't understand the bracelet, but I also haven't gotten a chance to ask about it. So that is on my bucket list for when I go next year, fingers crossed, is to ask what is up with this like Rastafarian bracelet. But it's not too distracting, so I'm not mad at it. We're almost done here. Does anyone have any questions? Sounds like the answer is no, which means I did a good job. Oh. If we want to see cringe for a little bit, this is one of my cringy OCs. Her name is Spidelia. She is a spider. Yeah, I give her these really weird red eyes to make her look really wiggy, and some silver mane to look like spider silk. Brown legs, because most spiders are brown, and this black body, because it's creepy. So this is what I mean when I say be cringe. Oh no, I gotta plug in. Okay. I did hear some mutterings in the background, though. I'm not sure if that's like aimed at me. Cool. Then I think we'll just wrap up, say goodbyes. It was so lovely meeting you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to, I also wanted you guys to give big thank yous to Fanny for helping me zoom in, I guess.
Thank you, Fanny.
I was so sad. I decided very last minute that I couldn't go because gas is now $5 a gallon. And I would be driving, so that was just like not gonna happen. So I am just so appreciative that she was able to jump in so quickly and help me reach out to all of you all. She was also on the BABScon art team and is a wonderful artist and also makes some very wonderful OCs. So, Fanny, do you wanna shout out your Twitter? I'm gonna take the weird silence as a no. Unless I didn't hear something. Oh no.
I don't think it picked up.
Did you shout yourself out?
Totally, yes. Yep.
Did you give yourself a big old pat on the back?
I'm patting myself right now, very vigorously.
All right. Well, honestly, I think that's all I have.
All right, Sketch. Thank you. Thank you for the panel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Follow me on Twitter. I want to get famous.
Okay.
Okay.
Very low enthusiasm. Okays. Love it. Love it. I'm going to hang up now. Bye. All right. And thank you, everyone on Twitch for tuning in. I'm sorry I wasn't very vocal about saying hi in chat. I just figured that Tass was in and out, so if you have any questions, put them in. But I'm only going to stick around for a couple more minutes before hanging up because I'm really thirsty and really tired. I'm going to assume that chat is good. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to raid my good friend Myth. This is my favorite part of the day. Oh. We're going to turn off display real quick. I promise I'm not this stupid all the time. There we go. All right. Remember, it's a coven, not a cult. Please act like it. Have a good day, and I'll see you the next time I'm able to sit down at my laptop for more than an hour. Or about an hour. This was an hour. This was fun. Okay, bye!